So, good morning to everyone and good afternoon to a few. So, today we'll start with a silent, a bit guided meditation, and then we will listen to Rupert Spira sharing about noticing the presence of awareness. So, as we all know, our minds are not easily ingathered and usually are in a scattered state. And it's just like a tool we have. If I have a tool like a knife, and if that knife is not under my control, sometimes it kills me, sometimes it kills the other. So an untamed mind is like that, we have a tool, but we don't know how to control it, the movement of it. So Mother also talks about, many masters have hinted at, Buddhism talks about the control of speech, control of thought and mind. So that's what we do through all these little hints and pointers, just to have a mind which can be used when we want it to get concentrated. It gets concentrated. When we want it to go out in the thought domain, want to think, analyze, then we can step into that river of thought, consciously stepping in the river of thought. And when we consciously want ourselves out, we can get ourselves out. So this is what the journey that we are embarking upon is about. So we don't have to be lost in the thoughts. We can enter the thought stream and engage with the thought so far as required, and then we want to come back to the breath and be in a quiet, thought-free stillness. That also must be a possibility for us. So thought must not be a torturer. Thought must be a tool. That's what Mother's Sri Aurobindo's yoga talks about, that mind, thought, feelings, and the body become an instrument for the divine. So let us, in that regard, just bring our mind back to the body, which is the home of the mind. Mind feels rested when in the body. So using the thread of breath, focusing, noticing the breath, bring the mind back to the body. And right now, we are not going to think. That's what we tell ourselves. If we get lost, we will bring ourselves to the breath. So this we will do for about 5 minutes, and then we will listen to the teaching. So just for 5 minutes, bringing our mind to a complete stillness in the body, resting the mind. with the breath. So, willfully bringing the mind to the breath, knowing that this is time for taming the mind, not engaging in the thoughts right now. And if there is any physical discomfort, emotional discomfort that is there, we are just going to breathe through it. We are not going to engage with it, just breathing through it. So I'm giving my thought free stillness absolute importance right now. Nothing more matters. There may be things on your mind from our day to day lives, something really pressing which is overwhelming, maybe. But for this time, we are going to keep it aside. Just embracing fully the breath, enjoying the breathing, coming back home to ourselves. In gathering the threads of consciousness at will. When I will it, I can have it. And rest all becomes like a dream while I do this. And also, this is the first step, the step that we do, focusing the mind on the breath, bringing the mind home in the body. This is the first step in this practice, which is called a shamatha practice, collecting the threads of consciousness. And this, in our silent practice, when you are at home, when we are not in a session, we can do it as long as we want, in gathering the mind with the breath in the body. As long as we want, we can do this in gathering. And the moment, infinite number of times, the mind will go back in the thought, but we can gently bring it back home again to the breath, to the body. So mind feel rested in the body. Body is the home of mind. And even if we are having some physical, emotional discomfort at the level of physical consciousness, we can breathe through it. We don't have to listen to the dictates of what the emotional or ego consciousness wants to say. We don't have to listen to the dictates of the lower. We can just breathe through it, knowing that we will be pulled into the higher very soon, the higher light. So this is the first step, as I was sharing, shamatha practice. The next step, when we continue and prolong this practice, is taking the stance of awareness. So who am I? I am the one who is looking at the breath. I am the one, this vast, expansive awareness in which I can listen to all the noises, maybe some noise coming from the road, somebody far away. And I am this vast field, expansive field of awareness in which these things come and go, come and go, come and go. So there is a bit of freedom that we get there from our discursive, narrow mind. So in this video that we are going to listen to, the teaching, Rupert Spira talks about noticing this presence of awareness, which is 24/7 present, but we are not aware of it. And hence we are just too lost in the drama of the mind. So we'll listen to that, and then later on we can maybe take some reflections. So it could be a meditative teaching for all of us. If you want to listen to it like a meditation, it very well can act as that. So in between, keep connecting with the breath and enjoy the teaching.
But it's not the witness of our experience is not something that may happen or may not.
No.
It's not something extraordinary that happens to you at a certain time and leaves you in an altered state for a period of time. The witness, I mean, are you not now witnessing our conversation?
Yes.
Witnessing means knowing.
Yes.
When you witness something, you see it, or you know it, or you experience it. Yes? So now, are you not witnessing or knowing your experience?
Yes.
The sound of my voice, the sight of this room, the sensations of your body, your thoughts and feelings.
Yes.
You
I
are
feel that. Yes.
knowing them. Yes? Now, what is it that is knowing them? Knowing your experience?
Well, the background awareness. Yes.
Yeah,
the awareness.
Awareness, or whatever you call it. Whatever it is that is witnessing or knowing or experiencing our experience is what is called the witness.
Yes.
It's not something extraordinary that might have happened to you for a moment 40 years ago. I mean, right now, you with a capital Y, you, what you call I, is knowing your experience. That knowing I is always present. When you were having lunch earlier today, your thoughts were different, Your feelings were different, your sensations were different, and your perceptions were different from those that are now present. So everything about your experience at lunch today, and at breakfast today, and at lunch last week, and last year, and 10 years ago, and 40 years ago, everything about your experience has changed and changes continuously. But one element of your experience, that which knows, or the knowing element of experience, remains consistently present, simply witnessing or being aware of your experience. That is not something extraordinary that suddenly starts to happen at a moment in time. It's happening all the time. We don't notice it because our attention is so exclusively directed towards objects. We are so fascinated by our thoughts, feelings, sensations and perceptions that we don't notice, there is something that is aware of all of this. What is that?
Yes.
But as soon as somebody asks us the question, be interested in whatever it is that is aware of your experience. Something very magical happens. As soon as someone says, be interested in that which is aware of your experience, we cease focusing on the objects of experience. We cease focusing exclusively on thoughts, sensations and perceptions. And in that moment there is a relaxation of the mind, a relaxation of the focus of our attention on objects. And in that moment the presence of awareness is noticed. The presence of awareness doesn't start then. We just notice it. It's equivalent to being so fascinated by a movie that all we see is the drama in the movie. And at some point somebody says to us, be interested on whatever it is the movie is playing on. You keep watching the movie, but there is a relaxation of the exclusive interest in the drama, and suddenly you see the screen. Did the screen start at that moment? No. The screen was present all along, but you hadn't noticed it because you were so absorbed in the drama. It's the same thing. We don't notice the presence of awareness because we are so absorbed by the drama of thoughts, feelings, sensations and perceptions. But as soon as we relax our interest in the drama, we don't even need to get rid of the drama. As soon as we relax the focus of our attention on the drama, there's the presence of awareness. Just this silent, open, inherently peaceful presence of awareness, simply witnessing or watching the movie of experience. So to begin with, it's legitimate to say that this presence of awareness is in the background of experience, just like we might say that the screen is behind the movie. That is only said to one who is infatuated by the contents of the movie. So the teaching says to him, no, see that the screen is behind the movie. See that the presence of awareness is behind the mind. Actually, it's not behind the mind. The screen is not behind the movie, because all there is to the movie is the screen. So the first step is to discover the witnessing presence of awareness behind experience, and the second step in the midst of experience.
So just taking a pause here. Again, this is one of the first steps of integral yoga also with Mother and Shodabundo, to identify ourselves not with the surface consciousness, which is a continuous changing flow of thoughts, feelings, sense perceptions, but with the witnessing consciousness. So if those of us who are really interested in getting in touch with what is my inner truth, what is my soul consciousness, What does the divine within want from my life? We can't avoid this step. Remaining in the noisy chatter of the surface consciousness, we can never get to know what is really meant, the mission of my life. So those of us who are interested, and I'm sure without a doubt that all of us really want to live from our highest possibility, which is living in alignment with the inner truth. This is the first minimum possible step that is required. Sri Aurobindo himself talks about stilling the mind and taking the witness stance. Mother talks about that know yourself as that presence of consciousness which has been conscious and noticing all the events of your life since you were a child. That consciousness which has never come and never gone. That's the true you. So, this stepping back into the witness stance is an absolute requirement on the path. Many a times we are so lost in the drama of the day to day life that we forget. But it's okay to forget, but it's also good to remind that I am this presence of awareness in me. And I have the power and the ability to detach from the drama on the surface, no matter how important the drama may be appearing at times. And many times we can use the word, the divine name, just like we were playing in the beginning, Om Namo Bhagavate Ma Shri Aravinda, or anything that resonates with you. To gather the threads of consciousness when the drama of life is becoming too overwhelming, we can use a chant or something that we connect with. And it's not that important what we connect with, anything that we connect with, anything that we feel that yes, this will concentrate me, in gather me. And the how I'm lost in the world of thoughts right now and feelings right now, it'll help me in gather. So any name, divine name, or any mantra can be used to in gather and then take the stance as the witnessing awareness. Throughout the day, we can do this. We must be in the office before we are going to sleep. Very good practice to do that. In any activity, you see yourself getting overwhelmed or just losing yourself in the thought stream. There, we can do that. But it's better to do that throughout, because when a challenging situation comes, a challenging story on the screen is appearing, then immediately many a times we are not able to do this stepping back. So it's good to do these stepping back in also the good days, so-called good days that we have. So anybody has any questions or comments or reflections here? Any challenges that we face? Anybody wants to share? Yeah, please.
With some meditation instruction, if thinking arises, there's the instruction to just label it thinking. So is it useful with this practice, or could it be useful to bring in witnessing? So if there is thinking, if I catch thinking occurring, to say witnessing thinking, is that useful to bring in?
So I think what you are sharing both can be used, because see, the mind keeps on changing its colors and it needs different tools at different moments. So what you are sharing is applicable wherever you want to make use of it. So at times, as Deepa Ma, one of the Buddhist teachers, she says that when you are practicing looking at the breath, the moment you see that you have strayed again in the forest of thought, tell yourself thinking, thinking, just like you shared, just label it as thinking. Don't go into the contents of thinking. Thinking, thinking, and bring the puppy back, bring the mind back to the breath. So that is one. In other times, you can use that, you again see yourself getting lost in the thought domain, feeling domain, again bringing back myself. Who am I? I am the witness of the thoughts. I am the witness of these feelings. So both can be used and both are applicable. Whatever benefits, you can make use of it anytime. Yeah. And yeah, and we see that something works at one time and another thing works at different times. So absolutely dynamic, this flow.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Vasudha ji, you wanted to share something?
No, Monica.
Okay. I thought you unmuted. Yes, Swapna.
I was noticing that when I was, bringing the knowing of the awareness to the thought stream, then, and this seems to happen quite regularly, I can get involved with the content of the thought stream. And so then I'm more identified with the thought, or not more, but I'm just aware perhaps how much I'm usually identified as the content of the thought stream. So I was trying to kind of step back from that. So any suggestions about that? Because I notice I kind of many times end up stopped at that place of identification.
So I think it's very natural for each one of us, the way we live, so identified with the thought stream, the storylines that we have in our life. It's completely natural now to see that the mind is involved there. Absolutely okay. And it's like, imagine that I have a pet and the pet is used to wandering around. It has never been trained, never been disciplined. Nobody has ever tried to tame that pet. So the moment I sit with the pet and maybe try to show it something, it is just used to go around in each direction where it wills. So there is no discipline with that pet. And it is absolutely fine, because otherwise we would not hold these sessions if our minds were completely tamed and perfected. The journey is from imperfection to perfection. So we don't have to get boggled up because of that. When we see that this internal state of affairs, that, oh my God, actually the mind is really untamed, and I, even when I don't want it, I get involved in the thought domain, because that is what we take as a concrete reality. We don't take our inner silence and quietude as concrete reality. We are used to take the outer reality as the concrete reality. So in the beginning, this coming and going and coming and going like a pendulum like movement will happen. It happens with each one of us without a doubt. But that's what the practice is about. Because there is no need for any practice if the mind is, the moment you sit for meditation, you say to the mind, okay, mind, for 10 minutes we are going to sit with the breath, and it listens to you. Then hardly any practice and thing required. But it's like tuning an instrument. Mind is an instrument of the divine. How do we tune an instrument? We sit with an instrument, we put our fingers on it, and if anything is untuned, we tune it. We tighten up the strings. We get to know, oh, something is not right. We tighten up the strings, and we play it. Then we see, oh, now the sound is nice. Now I can see. So mind, feelings, body, these are instruments of our being. And this light of consciousness, which has the power of tuning it, that's what now we are making use of it. That yes, if I will, I can tune it, but I must will it. I must know that an untamed mind is a useless mind. It sits on top of me rather than me being the master of it. We see that, how harassed we are because of our minds. So now if we have being harassed enough, now is the time that we begin to tune the instrument of the divine. We all are instruments of the divine. And this is what we have to do, tune it. Each part we have to tune it. So the first step is this, what you are noticing, that One will get involved, but then one will bring oneself back. Makes any sense?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Yeah. And also many a times at physical level, you have ego impressions. You meet somebody who is connected with your life, and immediately a constriction in the heart appears. You have no idea that why it is appearing. So if you think about it, you can't really catch the thread, but it is there. That physical unease is there. Why? Because ego has lived in this house for so many years, so it has left lasting impressions, and these impressions are going to, we'll have to tolerate these impressions. But with the divine name, with coming back home to the body, with mindfulness of breathing, we can breathe through this pain and physical discomfort of the body, which is arising at the level of ego imprints. Like a wet cement is there, and if you put your, by chance you step your feet on a wet cement, you see there is an impression, and it stays. So our consciousness, since it is not used to being very flexible, soft and supple, it is like a wet cement mostly. Everything sticks. Everything sticks. Somebody said something 10 years ago, it sticks. So the ego consciousness has those impressions which come out as the physical unease in the body, physical discomfort. And we have to tolerate these impressions. Mother says at one point, endure, endure. We will have to endure this pain and discomfort which arises because of the ego impressions. Just knowing that I don't want to involve myself now in there is no want that I have from the ego consciousness. So I will endure with the divine name in my heart, and with bringing the mind, with the mindfulness of breathing, I will endure. Taking the witnessing stance, I will endure. And my mother says, very soon, when you are pushing like this, very soon, this closed door that you are sitting in front of, that opens and a flood of light enters. So you are now on the other side. And again, there are many other sides. Like the journey doesn't end after opening of one door. It just continues. So we find ourselves many times in this fixed situation that we can't be our older self. We can't listen to the dictates of the ego, what it keeps telling us. The new has not yet opened in front of us. So we are in a fix, like we are nailed in that situation. There is physical unease, emotional unease. You are not able to be your old self. You don't want to listen to the dictates of the ego consciousness, but the new door has not yet opened. But with the divine name and with that pushing, that door, Mother says that very soon that door opens and you are on the other side. You are not one victory accomplished. So, and that is how many little victories have to be accomplished. Yeah. Enduring and going forward. So Aishwarya is sharing, what is one to do when, as discussed, the mind needs so many different tools at different times. Use them. One can just use all these tools that are available. They're specifically present because we need. If somebody gave me one tool when I was little, say 8-year-old, 9-year-old, it is very impossible that one tool I will stick to it. Very impossible, because we don't start with that still mind. We start with a very monkey mind. So the monkey mind that it needs different tools at different moments. Sometimes this pleases more. Sometimes I go with the music background. Sometimes I prefer the silent background. So whatever, since divine is infinite, hence the infinite possibilities of tools are also there. But it is suggested that if any practice is benefiting you, right now in this phase of my life, any practice is benefiting me, it is suggested to stick to that practice, so that that practice gathers some fire and It is able to do its work. So if, for example, right now, bringing the mind to breath and taking Mother Sri Aurobindo's name, in gathering the threads on that name, helps me. So I must stick to that for some time. It's like I pick one instrument, and in one day I say, no, 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 I'm not finding this instrument very interesting. Second day I use another instrument, piano maybe now. The third day I pick up tabla, fourth day I pick up some drums. So like that is not going to work. We'll have to, if one or couple of practices are benefiting me, it is suggested to stick to those practices for some time at least before they start having some effect. So that's what is the suggestion by the masters.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. So when we keep on doing this, taking witnessing stance, being mindful of the breath, being thankful of, I have really many things I can be grateful for rather than cribbing about what I have not. We see that we go in a very light and positive zone. Now I can benefit others. And it's not that my pain goes in waste. Since the divine makes use of each point of our life, even when we are suffering, even when we are in the grip of ego consciousness, it's making us suffer. That is also made use of by the divine. Because that is how I connect with the collective human pain. This is how everyone suffers. So it's good to be in touch with that collective human misery when my mind is untamed. So the divine makes use of it. The divine gives us an understanding that, see, you can be one drop of poison less in this vast ocean of poison. Now you can begin to tame your mind. And throughout the day, in gathering the threads of consciousness and making our inner reality more concrete than the outer reality. So this is, again, we are just embarking upon it. This is the first step of integral yoga. Having a thought-free, still mind, quiet mind, which any time can spring into action whenever required. At will, we can make it into action. So when I want to enter the thought stream, I enter it. And when I want myself out of it, I'm out of it. That kind of a self-mastery has to be there. That's what makes us feel progressive, that see, something is changing in me. Now, there was a disturbing outer happening with my relatives or with my loved ones that happened, but now I'm willing my mind to focus on what I want to focus, and I will be able to do that. So that willing has to come from me. That cannot come from outside. I have to, Mother says that you have to become so disgusted and tired of being your old self. Then only a new birth can happen. And this new birth happens at every moment. And let us walk this path of conscious sacrifice of all the intruders that are there, that disturb our peace, disturb our joy. Those intruders, Sri Aurobindo says, they have to be sacrificed in the fire of the growth of spirit. We are that spirit. We are that fire of aspiration. So everything that comes on the way which is now appearing not beneficial has to be sacrificed. And in that sacrifice, the fire grows. The moment we put something in the fire grows. That fire is our true self. That aspiring soul is our true self. And not the intruders that we take as our own self. The jealousy, the lacking self, the demanding, expecting self. These are all intruders. But we have the divine name with us, so anytime we can bank upon that, and we must make use of it. It's the golden key given to us. Whenever we see the mind getting scattered here and there, maybe something is getting too overwhelming, we can't help it, uh, calling the mother, just sticking to the mother, sticking to the mother, sticking to the mother, wanting nothing else but the mother. Then things change. Peace again becomes a friend. Yeah. So, wishing everyone a very happy practice, and even when there are times which are bit sorrowful, sad and painful at times, we have to know that we have always the mother with us. If we stick to the mother, there is nothing that can stop us from or prevent us from opening that closed door in front of us. So thank you for joining, and wishing everyone a good day.
Thank you, Monica.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye.